This is our second round of people sharing their listing presentations. I know there's a lot of guests on here and they're probably saying, why the hell would any agent open up their playbook and share their listing presentation? But I got to be honest with you, that's how we do it. We're all about collaboration and contribution and loving and helping people with their production. That's what real estate's all about. It's relationships and collaborating to get a higher level of production. So with that being said, we have a lot of great rock star agents on here today. We're going to start off with Bobby Martins with his Move Up San Diego presentation. And Bobby, I'm going to leave it to you. Take it over and let's roll.
All right, sounds good. Hello, everybody. Bobby Martins here in San Diego. And, I think that a lot of people tend to overthink the listing presentation. It's a very simple process. If you just do one thing, put yourself in the seller's shoes, and then ask yourself, what would I do if I were the seller? So if you do that, and if you do that with all your clients, and even not even your clients, just your friends, your wife, your husband, whatever it is, always put yourself in their shoes and think about what's best for them. Okay. And so that's first thing. Second thing, why concentrate on listings, right? A lot of people, they say, well, I'd rather work with buyers, they just drive around buyers and stuff. Well, that's not very consistent. And the problem with that is you don't have a lot of leverage. All you get from that is maybe some referrals. But when you have a listing, you get to advertise the property, you get to do open houses. There's a ton of value with that. And our goal is to always sell 2 more houses for every single listing we take. And if we do that, we're always going to have a very successful year. So now I kind of use a 2-step approach with my listings, and you're going to be shocked to hear this, but I actually walk in the door with nothing. The only thing I have is a little gift. I got a little gift bag, and I usually put either a water bottle or a coffee mug. My friend Aaron Taylor out in Las Vegas, he always likes to bring an apple pie. Problem with that is you have to eat the apple pie at every appointment. And so after a while, he's now got this little belly. And so I don't want to do that. I'd like to keep a flat stomach if possible. So, but I do believe that if you bring a gift, it's something that most people don't do. And so if you do that, I think it's going to really make you stand out. Another important thing is try to give them as much stuff up front before you get there. Okay. So go ahead and write this down. Kaydoh, K-A-Y-D-O-H, Kaydoh. I've been using this for a little while. I really like it. It's basically when I take a listing, I put in the comps so picture a presentation where you have boxes, 3 or 4 boxes going this way, and you can do as many rows as possible. So you want to put like 20 testimonials, you can do that. You want to put the listing agreement, not with a price though. Be careful not to put a price in there because you don't want to have a preconceived notion of what the price should be before you get there. So I usually just put a blank, or not a blank contract, but a contract filled out, but everything except for the price. Make sure you're using a no-risk listing guarantee that allows the seller to back out of the deal, if they don't want to sell or if they're not happy with the service. That kind of takes away some of the nervousness of using you, because if you walk in and say, hey, it's a 6-month contract and you can't get out of it for 6 months, I might say, you know what, I don't know if I want to do that, and so be really careful. It's really smart to have some kind of easy exit guarantee. Now, with the Kaydoh system, I can also throw in a video. I can put a picture of their house on the front. So, it looks like a custom website, but the reality is everything's already built out. All I got to do is change the photo of the picture, the name, throw in the comps in there, and then a new listing agreement. Everything else is all the same. So I'm not recreating the wheel every single time. All I got to do is go in there, make a copy, and then change it up a little bit, and it's done. Now, I like to send this before I come, and I always make sure that they review it before I come, because I find that when I do that, it makes them more relaxed. They understand a little bit more about us. Make sure you have a why list with us video as well. By having that, it really tells them everything they need to know in 60 to 120 seconds of what you're going to do that might be different than other agents, what you're going to focus on. But the real listing appointment starts with the very, very first phone call. Hold on a second. Oh, somehow I just got signed out of my thing here. Awesome. That's all right. I don't even need my notes. So it all starts with really that first phone call. If you're just so quick to be like, yeah, let's sell your house. Let's sell your house. Maybe they want to keep it. Maybe it's in their best interest to keep it. If you're just so quick to just want that sale, they're going to feel that you're just a salesperson. You're not there to really help them. But obviously it's our job to help them analyze the situation and then make recommendations. So when you're on that very first call, make sure you're asking a lot of questions. What are you looking for in a real estate agent is obviously a really important question, because that way you can tailor your presentation. If someone says, hey, I really want somebody who's really good at marketing, well, then I'm going to bring maybe a little bit extra stuff in my Cato that talks about marketing. In my meeting with them, I'm also going to talk more about marketing. Now, when I arrive to the house, I usually give them the gift right away. And then I tell them kind of like, hey, here's how this works. I'm going to ask you to walk me around the whole property. I want you to tell me everything you've done to the property, all of the stuff that you've done since your ownership. And then I also want you to point out the things that you would change. And this is very important. Ask them something like, if you were to buy this house today, what would be the first 3 or 4 things that you would do to change this property? And you want it coming from them, because if you come in and say, you know what, this color is awful, you definitely need to change this, then what do you think they're going to do? They're going to be like, who's this guy coming into my house and criticizing my property? That's not cool. And so you definitely, and I've lost listings this way, where I blurted out like, oh, the seafoam green needs to be changed. I've actually lost listings because of that, because then I found out, oh, well, the wife was the one who picked out the color. And here I come in and I'm, basically saying this color is crap, and so just be very careful. Make sure that any things are coming from them. So that's why you want to ask them, what would you change about the property in order to sell this home for top dollar? That's a very, very important thing. Now, when you're walking through the property, they're obviously telling you everything about the property. Ask questions. I usually take notes on my iPhone. I get permission in the very beginning. I say, do you mind if I take some notes on my iPhone here as we're walking around? They'll say, absolutely, yes. The reason why you want to do that is you don't want them thinking you're text messaging or doing something else. So that's why it's really important to at least acknowledge what you're doing. And this also comes in handy for when you pass it off to your assistant, because we all know our operations manager or listing managers do most of the work and the prep on these listings. So that you want to have detailed notes. Now, when you're walking around, you've got to have some personality. You got to be friendly. Make sure you're smiling, and ask a lot of questions. Ask about the neighborhood. What sold you on the neighborhood? What don't you like about the neighborhood? Things like that. You want to get a good understanding of where they're at. Now, once you're done with the walk around, obviously you want to sit down somewhere. I'm very casual with it. I don't like, I always tell people, I say, look, this is a very casual meeting. This is an opportunity for me to see your house. I didn't bring a listing agreement. I don't think it's been years since I've brought an actual listing agreement to a property. I always tell everybody we do everything electronically. Once we agree on a price and terms, then we'll go ahead and send you an email with all of those documents. But again, I've already given them the listing agreement. The only thing that's missing is the price. So they have the opportunity to review all of that before I get there. Now, once that's out of the way, everybody always wants to talk about price first. And I always say, you know what? I'm not here to give you a price today. And often I'll tell them before I even get there how I operate. I operate like an appraiser. I'm going to come to the property, I'm going to look at your house, and then I'm going to go back and look at the comps. Now, the real reason I do this is because I want them selecting me based off of me and my negotiation skills and my marketing skills. I don't want them picking me because I gave them the highest price. And so, and often I'll have that conversation with them about making sure that they don't hire an agent just based off of the price, because if they do, then they're often going to find themselves in a situation where they have an expired listing on their hands, because the agents a lot of time will overprice it and then they'll come back to you later on. Now, the other part about it is you want to have a unique selling proposition or a system when you're selling properties. So for me, I'm not coming in and saying, yeah, we're going to list your house on a Friday, do open houses Saturday, Sunday, and then, review offers Monday. That's one day on the market before showings start. That is not enough time. So you always want to tell people, look, this is how long have you owned this home? They'll say, oh, 20 years. Okay, so you've owned this home for 20 years. That's a long time. This is when you go to sell your property, this is the most important time, and it's not a race. Okay, you want to capture all of that equity over 20 years. You want to capture as much equity as possible. So a lot of agents, they'll throw it on the market. They have no marketing behind their open houses. And then, yes, they get an offer, and then yes, it might be similar to what you were looking for, but what if you could get $20, $30, $40, $50,000 more than what you were hoping for? And we just did that for a kind of a piece of crap house that, sold for $750, and it should have been probably a $675 house. We listed it at $7, and it sold for $750. So pricing it a little bit low, as long as you have ample marketing time, actually works in your favor. So the way we do it is we go coming soon on a Friday. On Monday, we go active, no showings until Friday. And then on Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, 4 days of showings. Then that's how we get our buyers. It's about 11 or 12-day process. We look at all offers Tuesday at 10. When agents are calling and saying, hey, I want to present an offer early, or, hey, I'm going to send you this offer, but it's expiring on Saturday or Sunday, I tell them, sorry, that's not how we operate. All offers are due Tuesday at 10. And I also tell them, we don't even open the offers until then. This saves you a lot of time with those agents that are like, hey, Bobby, where do I need to be? Hey, help me out here, coach me. If I send you an offer at this, do we have a shot? I don't want to have those conversations, because that usually will compromise my seller. And it's a big waste of my time to have to do that with 5, 6, 7, 10 agents. So I don't want to do that. I just tell them, everything gets open Tuesday at 10. You'll have a fair shot, but you also want to encourage listing agents or buyer's agent to make sure that they're writing up strong offers. That we're back into a strong market here in San Diego. There's not a lot of inventory. Things are selling over list again. So now, during that initial meeting too, I'm obviously going through our marketing in detail. And then I'm also going through our 8 different ways to help them sell their house. So, you can get creative with this list. I just sat down and I said, okay, what are the 8 different ways that I could sell this house? It used to be 6. And then it was 7. And then recently we just added the auction platform, which is now 8 different ways. So now if you're a seller and I'm coming in and I'm giving them a menu of services on how I can help them, that's a huge difference. The other thing that we do differently is we tell them about our moving concierge program. Okay. This is a vendor list that I put together a long, long time ago. And we simply tell the client, we're here to help them with everything. We're not here to just sell you the house. We're here to help manage the process of your move. And I think that's where a fundamental shift needs to happen with real estate agents. Obviously, it's easier than ever to sell a home. You got a lot of exposure on all the different websites. Many times you just need to throw it in the MLS and you got 5 offers. So do they need us for selling the home as much as they used to? Probably not. So we have to raise the level of service in every other area. And so that's the one thing I've really focused on. I have contractors that will get paid at closing. Although I do encourage the seller to pay before, because the contractor is going to probably charge just a little bit more. I mean, obviously, if they're having to wait 90 or 120 days to get paid, they're probably going to charge a little bit more. If you're giving them cash up front, they're going to get it done faster, and they're going to charge you a little bit better. So there's also a company called Curbio that can do these types of improvements. Stagers, I've got stagers that will get paid at closing as well. So you just got to think outside the box and find those people to help you with your moving concierge program. And again, it's not just selling the house. It's all about helping you with the entire move process. So, put apples to apples, other agent comes in and is just talking about selling the house, and I'm talking about helping them with the whole move. That's a much different environment. Now, of course, everybody wants to talk about the price, price. Again, I kick that to the curb. I don't want to talk about the price, although I will start asking probing questions about what do they expect in a price. If I walked in with a bag of cash, how much cash would it take for you to accept an offer today? Those are the things you want to find out. You also want to find out what their timing is. That's a very critical point. I always start the conversation with, are you looking for a fast sale, or are you looking for absolute top dollar? That tells me everything I need to know in the direction I want to take them, because again, we have 8 different ways that we can help them. And so generally speaking, we only recommend 2 of them because it puts them in a more powerful negotiation position when they are getting offers. And so now, after at the end of the appointment, I really try to focus in on, hey, how do you feel about working with me? Do you feel like I can sell your house? And usually they say, oh, absolutely, you're great. So I'll look forward to getting your opinion of the value. And then once I go back to my office, I put together a new email, and I say, look, if you do these improvements that we talked about, your house will sell for this. If you just sell it as is, it will sell for approximately this. And you want to give people ranges, but then you also want to coach them on what the best price is. $699,999 is not a good way to do it. $999,999, not a good way to do it because of search engines. If I'm looking for a home $1 million to $1.5 million, and you do your listing at $99999, well, guess what? They're not going to see that listing. So it's important to make sure you're paying attention to the search results, because you're going to get more views if you go with an even price. So now, typically, I'll just get on a phone call and have that conversation because I've already built the relationship. I'll call them up and say, hey, did you get a good chance, or did you get a chance to look through everything? They'll say, yes, everything looks great. And I agree with your recommendation of 700,000 or whatever it is. So generally speaking, does not have to be a big deal. But again, if you come in and you're talking price right up front, they don't like that price, you're gone. So be really careful on doing that, because that will be the kiss of death. Now, the other thing I do, as soon as I leave the listing appointment, I am emailing my virtual assistant, and I'm having them send either cookies or brownies. I have a templated card that has Elvis on the front, and it says, thank you very much. And then they open it up. It's a nice templated email that we put together that doesn't look templated. It feels like it's a custom card. And then, we throw in brownies or cookies. That usually gets sent to them within 2 to 3 days. And so that combination, you're coming with a gift, you're ending with a gift, seems to do well. We're getting over 90% of the listings that I go on. So it's been a very, very good, effective system. So that's what I got. I'll pass it off to you guys unless you have any questions.
That was a Bobby Martin's icon presentation. I love that. He's wearing his blue suede shoes. He is the Elvis of real estate. And, Bobby, let me just ask you a quick follow-up question. So what happens if they're insistent on a price right then and there? at the thing saying, hey, everybody else has given us a price. We have a price in mind. We don't want to share that with you, but at least give us an idea.
So I actually can't remember the last time that I've had that. I sometimes that does happen every now and then, but people actually respect the fact that I'm actually taking, and I tell them this, I say, look, pricing your home as a real estate professional is the single most important thing. So how can I come over with a predetermined, or do you want somebody to come over with a predetermined price in their head on your home before they even see it? And so that's why I always tell them, I say, look, I'm going to go back, I'm going to spend not 5 minutes on comps, I'm going to spend 35, 45 minutes on comps and really dive into it, and then be able to give you the better recommended price that will actually cause your home to sell with multiple offers. And if I need to, I'll show them, hey, this, look at all these listings that we've sold over the last 6 months, 12 months. So many of them are way over asking price. And so I might send them that along with that email, just to kind of, give them some feeling of like, okay, this guy is telling me, the right things here. But again, it's just different. Everybody's coming in, they've got their comps, and they've got their contract, and I usually will set landmines for agents as well. And I didn't really talk about this, but I'll let them know, like, hey, have you talked with anybody else yet? And they might say, oh, I've got an appointment tomorrow, and I got another one on Friday. And so they might say that, and I say, okay, well, have any of them already talked to you about having a buyer? And if they say yes, then are they trying to get that buyer in before it hits the market? And if they say yes, then I'm really, like, that agent's now gone, because then I tell them, look, that's not in your best interest to have, just one buyer look at your home. You want to have dozens and dozens of buyers look at your home and create that bidding war. Again, going back to their original desire, which is to sell for top dollar. Now, if someone says, I'm, looking to sell, immediately, and I don't even want it to go on the market, that's a little bit different conversation. But, most of the time that's rare. So, but it's pretty rare that someone like really insists on it. If they do, I'll give them a range, and I'll say, well, the house down the street sold for 700, similar, so I do know the comps before I go, because obviously I don't want to be taken off guard. But I just believe that having that separation, if they, and the biggest reason is if they pull back and all of a sudden they're like, yeah, Bobby, we're thinking about this other agent. After I tell them the price, then I know it's the price, because they already told me that, yes, they feel comfortable working with me and they want to work with me. But then, now all of a sudden they're like, well, I'm not sure I'm going to interview one more agent. Then I isolate the objection, and I might say, before I gave you the price, you seemed like you were ready to work with me, but then I gave you the price and now you're not. So can you tell me more about that? And then they'll tell me, like, well, we were really hoping to get 750, and now you're saying it's only 700, and then if that's the case, then it might be, well, let me come back over. Let's walk through the comps one more time, because these are all the same comps that are out there, and then I might have the conversation of, I don't mind listing it a little bit higher to start. And then, but we need to have in the listing agreement that there is clauses in there that reduce the price automatically, because I don't want to go back 2 weeks later and say, okay, are you ready to reduce the price now? I want it to be set in there, because then we could just make automatic price reductions without having to have that conversation again.
Yeah, I think, that's great, because price is going to be a major conversation in listings in these types of markets as the markets are shifting. And you have to know how to handle those objections and isolate them. Brian Moses had a great one saying, are you planning on selecting your agent because of the price they give you? If that's the case, let's go with 100 million. Or perhaps it'd be wiser to select the agent based on their qualifications and what they do to market your home. Does that make sense? Is that what you had in mind? That's a closing question, right? Those are some good questions. I think Brian Yarber had some good stuff. Does anybody have some quick questions for Bobby? We have around 2-3 minutes before we get on to the real estate opportunity guides listing presentation. Bobby, can you also whatever materials you use on your listing presentation, put it in the chat?
Yes, so I'll put together, or I'll grab one of the Cato links, and that pretty much has everything in there. So I'll grab it right now.
Love that. That's good. Okay. And also, besides brownies, you should send some hair products over as a follow-up too. That would be great. Okay. Anybody have any questions for Bobby on his listing presentation? It's sticky. It's sticky. I like it. Great job.
Good job, Bobby. I took so many notes.
Me too.
Dave Lawson, I know Dave the Legend Lawson, the luxury legend of Park City. I know that you have a question for Bobby on his listing presentation.
Well, so what I did today is I prepared mine, but why don't I do it next week?
Okay.
You know, I have a program, you know, I take 100 listings a year, and I kind of have a program and a process that I'm going to share. And I love what he said. You know what he just did? He did not tell us what to do on the listing appointment. He didn't share his listing appointment. He didn't do a lot of that. He told us the process to get a listing. And that's exactly what what I'm going to do. And I'm even going to show you the exact way I do it. So, because I can't wait to hear Craig. So I'll do that next week. But the thing is, you know, I have a saying, a listing presentation is not just for listing presentations. A listing presentation is a lead generation tool. And so we need to use our listing presentation to get business. And that's the other thing I want to share with you. So I'll do that next week. But for now, instead of me doing a little bit, I want to hear Craig. So let's turn it over to
that's
Craig.
great. Thanks, Dave, for saying that. I mean, next week we'll have Dave Lawson on, and I'm going to elect Wendy Ross. So we have two kind of luxury listing presentations. And, you know, we have Wendy on here and we have Gail. They're like two roses in between all the thorns, right? And we'll get some other members sharing their listing presentation, because everybody has different approaches. There's no one set approach, and there's no one set environment, right? Everybody's reason to sell is different typically. So you have to be good at reading those scenarios. Does anybody else have any questions for Bobby on his listing process before we move on to the real estate opportunity guide?
Someone asked if Bobby puts his commission on his listing agreement that does not have the price on it yet.
No, he doesn't.
No, absolutely not. You definitely don't want to be doing the commission on there, because I actually do a menu of services, you know, and I'm flexible when it comes to commissions. If people price it where I want to price it, I might give them a little bit of discount, especially if they're doing a buy purchase as well, which is what we like to focus on. So I think it's very important right now to get every single listing you can, even if it's a 2% to our side. I will take it just to make sure we're building our listing inventory. And, you know, again, we're getting 2 more sales off of every listing. So do I really care that I'm only getting 2% when I'm getting another 4.5 or 5 or 6% over here? So I think it's really important to do that.
And, you know, and guys, this is a very competitive market for listings. You know, don't talk about commissions, talk about professional fees. You're a professional with you're charging a certain fee for a certain service, right? So I think that's really important. Those fees can change based on the amount of service you provide or the list of services you provide, but really understand your value before you walk in the door. I'm not saying not to have some flexibility here and there, but you have to monitor every situation. If you walk in and you just immediately start cutting everything, you know, that's your value proposition, then it's not good. And they'll try to use it against you. A lot of consumers will say, well, Mike will, you know, I met with Mike and he would do it for 4%. And you just have to pause and say, wow, you know, Mike's a nice guy. You know, I don't know if he's doing that out of ignorance or malice, but maybe that's what Mike feels his value is worth at 4%. So you guys have to decide based on the service and the exposure and the marketing and in the process, who's going to do the best service for you. You know, if you feel Mike is at 4%, then go with Mike. But this is our value. This is what we do. you know.
Yeah,
Okay, so
I believe the kiss of death is negotiating commissions before you get there. So learn this script. Pete, commissions
Yes,
are
Dave.
important to you. They're completely negotiable. And that'll be one of the first things we talk about when I meet you today at 4 o'clock. That's
love
it.
that, Dave.
And
Love
then
that.
you go in and when you talk about, you know, so they're going to forget you said that right away. I mean, and then, but you will bring up the commission, but don't talk about the commission until they understand your true value. And then I have Premier, Premier Plus, and Elite. And there's a different price for each one. And in me, it's 6, 6.5, and 7%, right? And then, so I'm really negotiating from 6 up more than 6 down. And if you understand the concept, it works. And then, but I also, you never want to leave a listing, you know, that you could sell. So
I thought you had a black diamond run, a blue run, and a green run, you know, but that's good. I like that. Premier Plus, and Elite. I love all those. Okay.
yeah, and it just
Without-
shows you the 3 different, you know, this is what we do for this. This is what we do for that. And Elite, we do these.
I love it. All right. So here we go. We're going to get that from Dave next week. He's coming in hot. He's going to spice it up. Let's get over to the real estate opportunity guy out of the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, and get his take on everything. You never know. He might be dropping off cannolis. He might be dropping off pasta or lasagna. I mean, there's all types of things happening. He was on our attraction call this week. He was lights out. If you're not on the attraction recruiting calls on Tuesdays, 9 to 10 on the Pacific side, 12 to 1 on the East Coast side, you guys are missing it. He was fire on that this week. So I am pumped up to see the real estate opportunity guys listing presentation. All right, Craig Lurch, without further ado, you have the floor.
Thank you. And again, you guys, some of the guys have shown them before. You know, Bobby's got a killer one. Remember something, I actually said this the other day when we were on the attraction call. One of my biggest challenges as we go through life is we're trying to be somebody else. Don't be somebody else and be in the listing presentation. Make the listing presentation you. Don't mimic somebody else. My listing presentation varies at any given point. If it's somebody I worked with in the past, I cut a lot of the malarkey out. I don't need it. If it's somebody that's been referred to me or it's a cold one, I'm going to blow them up on emails, follow-up videos, and all that stuff. So literally, I'll take you from step A to point B to C real quick. All right. And I'm going to click you and share a screen here. And then I'm going to actually put the stuff in there in a link. You can copy it, do whatever you want with it. So real quick, the second somebody calls me, I go through a real quick conversation with them. So first of all, how'd you find me? Great. I found out now that I know that. If you referred to me, by the way, what's their best number? I want to give them a call and thank them. Again, you want to thank them because you want to let them know that you're going to let that person go. If they said, oh, I've seen your sign, something like that, fantastic. So what's making you think that you want to sell? And then then I start down a process of that. Can you show me, can you share my screen? One of the questions is that how do I get to this thing? There you go, screen here. All right. So when somebody calls me, I automatically go into the mode of curiosity. I say, all right, you're thinking about selling. First of all, why? Why are you selling? And they're like, well, we're thinking about this. Great. Next thing, are you a techie person or are you a person that likes to meet face to face? Or are you just interviewing a lot of agents? Are you talking to anybody else? And I stop and listen. If they say they are, I ask who they are. And I ask when they're meeting. And then I say, all right, seeing you're talking to multiple agents, what are the top 3 things that you're looking for in an agent? Because if they're a D, an I, an S, a C, whatever it may be, I may mess up. If they're a C personality and very analytical, and I use the word about, that's going to blow their mind. If I give them a range and a price without showing them calculations, it's going to blow their mind. So I want to kind of figure out where they are so I can communicate the right way to them in the future. Then I say to them, fantastic. Why don't we set a tentative date for this or this on these days? What works for you? I let them pick the time so they can't shoot me down. So then in the process of that, The second I get something set, I'm like, I'm going to email you or text you a questionnaire. Can you fill this out for me? It's like going to the doctors. The reason we send this is it's homework. And by the way, I'm also going to send you a seller disclosure that has this 11 pages with a lot of questions that if you could print it out and have it detailed and any receipts with it, that would be great also. Again, going back to what Pete said the other day, giving them homework commits them more to you. Also, as a definer, how many other agents have said, by the way, I'm going to send you a link for a questionnaire like going to the doctors? Very few agents are going to do it. How many agents are going to ask them to do the seller disclosure in advance and say, by the way, if there's any questions, highlight them so when we're together, I can help you answer them or how to answer them. So what you're doing is you're getting involvement. So again, we send this information, it comes back to us and we go from there. So that's the number one thing we do. Is this the one I want? Let me see what I'm looking for. Okay. When I go out on a listing appointment, typically this is what I do. I go through this in a conversation. I've been trained through a gentleman, Tommy Schaff, Brian Moses has also. I function on it. There's, if you're going through success coaching, there's Grow, there's all these other ones. I like using this one personally. This is easy for you. I'll put this in a link for you also. I go with, what's your story? I ask them, what's your story? And they're like, what do you mean, what's your story? What's your story? Tell me this. What's your situation? Where are you now? Okay. Where are you now? What's your present? How comfortable? How long you been there? When was the last time you sold a home? I go down defining questions like that because I want to find out how much experience. If they haven't sold a home in 20 years, then I got to really dive deep and say, hey, the past is the past. This is the present. It works a little different. Are you willing to listen to that? Another thing I always say to them, by the way, while you're interviewing agents, there's two ways we can do this. I can come in there and do a dog and pony show and tell you how great I am and all that stuff. I'm going to send that to you in advance. Or when we're together, would you like to roll our sleeves up, really get to the nitty gritty and hear about what your story is? And we'll talk about that more and go through your house, defining what things we think, what are they at, and really dig deep. Usually it'll say, I'd rather dig deep. So that's where this conversation comes in. This is a presentation for you guys to work off of. I'll give it to you in practice versus doing it with your clients. I just do it automatically. So I said, what's your story? What's your present? Then we go into, okay, what's your target? Where do you want to be? What's your timeline? You're a smart individual. You had to have come up with some idea of a price. You've at least looked at Zillow, correct? So what would that, if you had a utopia number, what would it be? And what does your heart think it is? Well, I want to know what you think. That's great. I just want to know where you're coming from because I might have to bring a resuscitator to juice your heart if it's not right. I just need to know. So I add a little humor to it. But the point is, I just point blank ask instead of dancing around. I just bring the elephant out in the room. I bring the elephant right out. So what do you think the number is? And I'm like, I have my opinion and I'm going to do more homework as we go into it. But before I come out there, I want to gauge. I want to make sure that we're on the same playing field. And if not, I want to try to figure out why. Next thing is we talk about the objections. What can stop us from achieving our target? It could be, let's walk around the house. As Bobby said, if you were having an objective mind that it wasn't your home, what would you see here that you think a buyer needs to do? Now, all of a sudden, they're owning it. They're making the decision. It's not you banging them. By the way, your seafoam green orange walls, like Elvis's, Bobby, the jungle room is offensive. Point is, it's not offensive to them. And there's maybe somebody else out there that really loves it. The point is get them to start seeing and say, hey, by the way, if you were looking through architectural magazines or you were looking through homes that were staged, and you probably did, because you're smart people and everybody plays on social media and watches Pinterest, all this stuff. What in the house do you think needs to be done before we get to the market? Now, all of a sudden, you've got them giving you ownership and giving you information. Again, other agents are going to say, oh, by the way, this is cluttered over there. Oh, by the way, you got to go do this. Get out of telling them and get them to answer you. Then we go into responses. How do we fix that? Do you have the money to do it? Do we have the time to do it? Are we going to negotiate that and discount it in price? Are we going to do this work using Curbio or somebody else and do the upgrade? And what will that look like once we do it? And then we talk about the pain points. We talk about, okay, now that all that comes together, why? What happens if? What happens if we sell the home? We get you the number. Where are you going? What's that timeline? How's that going to feel? What happens if we don't get that number? What's our yike? Are you underwater? Do you have to be somewhere? So I kind of get all the emotions of where they're at through going through this platform right here. All right. I will put that in the chat that if anybody wants it, you can use it. Copy, boom. See, I'm learning from you guys. You guys are teaching me stuff. I don't know how to do this. So hold on real quick. And by the way, Fona, thank you. Fona's my VP. She's on these calls watching what's going on. All right. Next thing you do, you say, what are you loading for Bear? We actually, this is our luxury one, the new one that's out. We send this to them in advance. This is an example of one of the homes that we have for sale presently. But if I can get a chance to take their picture and insert it, we'll customize this thing and send it. We can send it in multiple ways. I like to send it in a book way because as they're opening, it makes a little bit of noise. It's also interactive. Pete, you helped design this. I do not and did not spend the custom money that Pete did. This is if you're in luxury or if you're using core presentation through core, through KB Core. There's all kinds of different ones. I don't know exactly which one you want to use. Some of us are with EXP, some of us aren't on this call, but this is what I'm using. This is where we're going with. Again, it customizes all the pictures on there. It's showing something different. It's showing where it's going. If you click these buttons, it actually takes you to the tour of this house. So, oh, shows you that one. Sorry, bad flip. Where'd I go? All right, there you go. So it shows all this stuff. Then it gets into our social media. Where do we get to? We get on, it's on our YouTube stuff, our Facebook. It shows our listings, the leads, anytime somebody clicks on listings and leads, it goes right into my Hub 365 funnel. Also, this is all the texts that go out. All of this stuff is designed and has tags through listings, the leads. We even make it for our seller. We make one specifically here for our seller. We send it to them. We ask them when it comes time to post it. So the difference is when you're going out on a listing presentation, and if another agent doesn't show this stuff, you're in a win position. You want to show the points that you're different and going from there. Here's that thing's coming to you. Boom. All right. The other one is something I copied off of Brian Moses's guys. Where's it at? Boom. That's not it. Where's it at? Is that it? Is that going to be it? That's your story. Come on. Where's it? Here. This is fantastic. This is something else that we send them in advance. It just says, hey, sometimes you just want to skip all the open houses. You want to sell the house quickly. That you can either do through express offers if you're express offer certified, or you get it, you pose it, you just call a bunch of your investors. This is sometimes some people don't have the timing. So we give them the tools of multiple things that we can do. So we go from the questionnaire, we go into the story, we walk the house. I have stagers if you need it. We have the concierge. We have all the stuff all of us have been talking about, but that's the gist of some of the information, how I get it and how I go. And I manipulate it to each person. As far as commission, I know that question is going to come up. One of the lines that I've always used, and I use it, I'm never going to be the highest, I'm never going to be the lowest, but I'm going to give you value for what you're paying in a professional fee. You want to sell your house yourself, put it with Redfin, do something like that. But if you want full service concierge feedback experience over 34 years, whatever it might be, I'm the guy for you. I am not everybody's client. And by the end of our conversation, are you going to be okay to let me know, should we move forward? And then we can really define price. Because I really don't want to fine tune that yet. Because if that's your key point, I'm not the guy for you because I don't control price. And if an agent does tell you the price, tell them to write you a check right then and there for it if it's that good of a buy. I'm not that guy. So yes. That's it. as far as I'm at, open for questions, and hopefully that stuff works. Oh, and I'm gonna give you a little bonus here. Anybody on this call that needs that canvas set up or anything like that, for that strongest thing, I have Brian made it. Fona, you're gonna hate me. I'm gonna put Fona's email in here. You send her the pictures of what's there. She will be more than happy to make it for you and send it so you can use that as a printout or a post from us to you, from the ROG. We love you. All right.
Listen, the ROG brings value all the time. Look, he's throwing in bonuses. That's how he rolls. It's unreal. Who has a question for the ROG on this magnificent presentation? I love it. Not everybody at once. It's deafening.
I would say, you notice right away when Craig does anything, he's got massive confidence, right? So it's like, you're afraid to say, you listen. And that's what a lot of us need to realize when we're at a listing point. We need to get their attention. We want the room to vibrate. And when he talks, it does, I mean, you feel like if you don't listen, you're gonna end up with 2 bricks on your feet under the Brooklyn Bridge. So, I mean, I love what you're saying, Craig. And these are some great tools. Thank you so much.
Also, I'm going to throw another one out there, Pete. I just had somebody ask, how do I learn more about DISC and all that stuff? I've been blessed along with Gail, and I'm not sure who else. And Wendy, by the way, love seeing you on this call. I love seeing the roses. We got Gail and Wendy. I can't wait to see you guys in Cabo. You guys are definitely better than all of us. And then thank you, because we're going to learn here. So again, I'm going to throw some, Pete. Don't care about added value. Anybody wants to take a DISC personality test? I just got licensed with Success Coaching along with Gail DeMarco. It would be my pleasure to give you the link to take it for free versus having to pay for it. If you email me off link, I would be more than happy to send it to you, get it, and we'll send you the results. The gift of this group is coming from that. So if you need to learn it, there you go. Another added value from this team.
Anybody else have any other questions?
Hey, Brian, what do you got?
I'm going to go to a few online that were in the chat. One is from my buddy, Robert Wolf, the Wolfman. And he said, how do you deal with sellers who are unrealistic or were told an excessive price that their house is worth, or they looked up online and saw a crazy price? How do you deal with that?
I ask him first how they came up with that. And then he'll usually tell you, well, I did this, I did this. Great. Have you been in those homes? Who's the person that told you been in those homes? I've been in those homes, or I haven't been in those homes. And I say, okay, that's great. So let's sit down then physically together and let's play on my computer together. And we do the search together. We're going to start with a blank screen. So you're in this neighborhood. You want to see the mile around. You want to see your specific. Boom. Sit and do the search specifically with them. You got to know what the outcome is. If you're wrong, it's going to be egg on your face. You got to know what you know. But if you know that you're right, sit there, take them through it, show them what they don't know. Most people don't know what they don't know. They only know what they hear. So if you show it to them and understand where you're coming from, they're like, well, my neighbors said they got $1 million for it. I'm like, oh, they only sold for $925. Here's the proof in the pudding. Well, they said, I said, here's the recorded deed. This is what was sold. This is what the transfer tax is paid on. Oh, I can't believe they lied. I'm like, well, okay, well, it's a reality. What do you want to do? You want to pretend or you want to use it? They're like, all right, I guess we got to use it. So if you show them the facts, they can make the decision. That's how I do it at that point.
Just like everybody lies in bed, everybody lies to get ahead. So that's the deal, right? A little rhyme for you today on a Thursday. We're coming in hot for this weekend. Anybody else have any questions for the ROG?
Brian, what do you got?
Moses' hand is up, but he's silent.
Okay, I want to share something with everybody. I like to have a mic drop at the listing presentation. I just found this. I'm going to put the link in the chat. You want to differentiate yourself so that you're in the highest commissions possible, right? Articulate your value and earn more. So this little migration mapper is really wild. Craig, what county are you in Philadelphia? Is it Bucks County?
Montgomery. Oh, by the way, and also, if you don't have your own Google page with all your sales marked in there, you're silly.
Montgomery, Pennsylvania. All right, so you type in the county and you go, Mr. Seller, how much value would there be to know where the buyers are coming from that are likely to buy your house? So I'm going to hit inbound. We invest heavily in technology, as you can see right here. And we know that the majority of buyers coming into your area are coming from Philadelphia County. So I can concentrate my marketing dollars and put more marketing dollars in Philadelphia County because more people are coming into your market. Did any of the other agents that you interview show you this type of technology? Price is a function of supply and demand. The more demand you get on your house, the better price you receive. Do you want to go with the lowest commission or do you want to go with the highest price? So I'm put this in the chat. I just wanted to share that with everybody.
Great stuff. That's
That's
why
huge. That's
he's one of the
awesome.
top national coaches out there. You know, Brian Moses, he's parting the real estate Red Sea. So who else has a question for the ROG? We're down to 6 minutes left on this dynamite mastermind.
Brian Moses has his hand up. I don't know if he has something to share.
That was
he
it.
hasn't taken it down yet.
Oh, okay.
You know, one thing I do want to say is that everyone that kind of spoke today really pointed out that the preparation is so important. Obviously, Craig, you're using that questionnaire and that helps you get all of those pre-qualifying questions as well as more data, as much, you know, and a second email and a better way to contact. That's just so important to have those pre-qualifying questions answered before you go out so you're well prepared. You can prepare your whole presentation. Like Craig was saying, it fluctuates, but that's all because he has those questions answered. And I love doing it through the Google Doc like he's doing it. That's just fantastic.
Also, real quick, I forgot to tell you, the second I hang up with a client, I will always get their email. I always send them a video right away saying, hey, by the way, John and Mary, it was great talking to you. Boom, boom, boom. Look forward to meeting you at this date. I also send them a calendar invite. Because what does that do? It reconfirms. It's like when you get them from the doctor's reservations, no other agent's doing it. Then we also confirm the night before with a text or whatever, hey, by the way, making sure our time is on. If they're going to cancel, they're going to cancel, but nobody else is doing that. The second I leave the appointment, I'm 3 or 4 minutes away. I stop, pull over, send them a video. Hey, by the way, it was great touching. These were the top 3 or 4 points that I understand you want to cover that are still open. I will be getting them to you. So it's a reinforcement that you were using your ears and your mouth in proportion to what was going on. And nobody is really doing that stuff today. So those are some points that are right there.
I'd like to chime in really quickly too, if I may. Doing the advanced work as Craig dictates was super, super smart. I had a listing presentation with someone I knew very well last year, and they forgot because they had lived in their home for so long. It was listed as a historic landmark in that city and featured in many historic magazines, and they forgot. And I was like, wait a minute, this is a massive marketing point. And had we not really got into that conversation and had they done the homework in advance, that might not have been something that was a whoops, but we narrowly escaped disaster, and pre-advanced homework on their part would have been better.
That's a great point. You know, because everybody is proud of their house, right? It's home pride, and you want to be excited, and you want to also bring up features that you recognize that they may be aware of, they may have forgotten. And those are key selling points. The other thing that I always recommend to people who are doing luxury real estate is know materials. Know the difference between quartz or quartzite or marble or travertine or Italian tile, whatever it is, you know, high-end appliances. People like to have that pointed out because what are you doing? You're acknowledging what they did to their home. It's a very personable thing. And you want to keep it very, very personalized to them. And when they do that, you create a bond, a connection, a relationship. You know, we work with people that we relate to. We work with people that we want to be connected to. That connection is super, super important. And don't make it about you. Make it all about them.
Mhm.
You know, you already know your story. You want to know their story, right? That's what the ROG was saying. You can't learn anything by telling another human being your story. You already know your story. You can learn a lot by asking another human being where they're from, about their story, what's their journey, so forth. That's a big, big point that you want to make to create that relationship because you only have a certain amount of time to create that connection. It's really a big time benefit when you're trying to get listings. Anybody else have any questions for the ROG? We got 1 minute left. Somebody fire some fire right now.
I liked what Craig said, and when you were asking, when somebody says something to you that, I'm going to list a really high, you got to know some of the magic questions. Like you could say, how certain are you that this price is right? Or help me understand how you got to that number. Or could it be possible that someone is just telling you that number to get a listing, right? These are some of the, these magic questions, right? And when you use those, you're not attacking them, you're just asking a question. And if you really want to get good at it, you say, preface it with things like, Pete, I'm curious, right? Or Pete, I was wondering, right? And then whatever you say, it's like it's a conversation.
Yeah, and that's a good point, Dave. Dave personalizes it. You can see Dave has a natural talent, you guys. He's great at disarming people, right? He's not confrontational. He's saying, I'm just kind of curious. How did this happen? Or is this possible? Or I don't even know if I could help you on this situation, but expand on that. Or where did you come from with that? I mean, a lot of it is script playing and role playing, but you have to be really comfortable and confident. And you need to know when to pause. You need to know the right words to say and how to say them. So I think that's super important. Listen, I'm blown away. I am fired up to get listings this weekend. Our community brought it today. I hope it helped everyone. If anything, I'm going to go upstairs and do my hair like Bobby. So that'll at least get me a listing or two. But here's the deal. Next week, we got Dave, the legendary luxury man from Park City, on the hot seat. And we got Wendy Ross coming from just south of LA. She's going to be coming in hot. We got a luxury duo presenting their listings, presenting how they do their process to get luxury listings. It's going to be a dynamite mastermind. So make sure you guys invite people, come from a place of contribution. Really make it a point to come from a place of contribution and collaboration. Invite people. I don't care what company they're with. I don't care how long they've been in real estate. Invite them to this mastermind. You know why? Because you're going to lift them up, and all ships rise in the same tide. It's super important. Okay, guys, thanks for bringing it. Moses, great to see that you made it back from Vegas alive, and we'll see everybody next week. Thank you for everybody being on and being a part of this. We love it. Talk to you soon.
That was gold, guys. Good job.